Meet the Expert, a knowledge-sharing initiative of your knowledge partner, the Developing Bangladesh. We discuss on trade, investment, commerce, education, skills, economic development, global peace and prosperity, etc. issues. If you are interested to these issues, please subscribe to the channel. Developing Bangladesh, your knowledge partner, please subscribe now.
Ask me, I have never gone by the certificates or by the medals or the awards. I have seen a lot of people, sitting in higher chairs, having lots of experience, having lots of certificates, but I will never consider them educated because of their behavior, because of their attitude. So, for me, education means, first of all, that a person has to be a very good human being. Now, what does a good human being means? His behavior, his attitude, his knowledge, everything gets comprised of it. That then only a person will be able to make a difference. With education, with certificatal educations or experience, one can only have the aim of earning money, which always happens. But if you really want to give back to the nation, if you really want to do for the people, so there the proper education steps in, where you can actually care for others selflessly instead of becoming selfish. So if you see, for education system, every education system, if we really want to build a better youth for tomorrow, we have to focus on these three things. First thing, the education itself, which is a very broad umbrella. It covers a lot of things. I'm going to focus on it. Second, the good values. And third, the health. Again, a very big umbrella I'll be focusing on. So let's take up on the education itself. As I said, the education doesn't mean only the rote learning, passing of the exams, writing down the answers, and getting the certificates. It doesn't comprise of this. I'm sorry to say, many teachers are also having only this certificate education, where they actually fail to properly pass on to the proper education and build the youths. So if we see, that is why the gap remains, that many of our youths are still not educated, still having the certificates enough. So for education, first of all, it has to be focused on the good values. When a child comes to school, okay, when a grade 1 child comes to school, I tell the parents, first of all, it is important for him to learn 1, 2, 3, 4, ABCD, that's okay. But at the same time, it is very important for him to learn the good manners, etiquettes, and the values. Because this is what he is learning at this age will be carrying him, he will be carrying it throughout his life. So this is the time when we build human beings. So education is not only about teaching the text, but it's all about building human beings. It's about man making. It's about character building. It's about good values building, because we are building a worthy citizen of a country. So what are the good values we can actually focus on? Now, let me keep it very separately, because when we go by good values, we generally try to focus on the religious values. Let's keep religion and moral values very separate, because I don't want to get into the religion points, but not all religious people are having good moral values. I'm sorry to say this, that's very different from each other, because moral values means a person who is having integrity. Okay, a person who can actually care for others without keeping any needs, any selfish motives in mind. So that is very important, who can actually give back to the society in a proper way. So that good values has to be inculcated, and the physical, the mental, the spiritual, and the emotional education and the development should take place in a human being, and that comes under the good values and the education. Now let me get into that. All right, so I'll elaborate it more under the health point. Now, physical health. Health we generally mean by only having medicines, being physically fit, but no. If we think every human being, all right, we have to see the 4 aspects of every human being when it comes to health: the physical health, the mental health, the emotional health, and the spiritual health. Now, as we getting to hear since last few years, a lot of mental health issues have been talking about. All right, this is something which has always been neglected. because we as human beings, we as societies have always lived in generalization and judgments. So we have generally targeted people, by saying, oh, you have been mad, you have been crazy, if we find somebody's thought process a little bit different from us. We have failed to understand and treat each individual as an individual, which is very much important, because we as human beings are very different from each other. We can't expect every second person to behave like us. So today when I'm presenting over here, there will be many of our viewers who might be not thinking along the same line as I'm saying, who might be thinking something different. But that's where my challenges lies, that I have to accept them as they are, and we have to believe in the difference that lies. But again, we can always, be sync with the difference. We can always agree with the difference, that it's okay to differ. So that's where the health lies. Secondly, the mental health, as we always say, of a child, I have seen, is very important, because that gives him the framework to become a healthier adult. Now you tell me something. I have seen children who are, seeing domestic violence at home. Do you think the child will be in a normal frame of mind to actually grow up as a healthy human being and contribute for the others selflessly? No. The child will always be facing the trust issues, the insecurities. He will lose in the faith in having human relationships in life. So how do you believe that a child who is facing so much at home since childhood will actually not be, contributing properly? He might be achieving a lot in life. He might be having a lot of medals, a lot of certificates, but we don't know deep within his emotional issues what he went through the childhood traumas. So that scar, that pain will always remain with him, and he's going to carry it over. So, these little issues related to mental health should be acknowledged at every level, especially from childhood to teens, because this is where the building of adult brain happens. Because we as an adult are just an experience of what we experienced in the past, as a teen, as a childhood, even if you see that. The experience that we had in our teens, in our childhood, is what has shaped us. That is why schooling, that is why education at childhood is the most important thing. So it's not only about, teaching the text, it's not about passing the exams, it's not about marks. The parents of today have to understand that, forcing the child, or making a child getting marks, or targeting them to aim for marks, is not the be all and end all of education. There is something way beyond it. We have to acknowledge individual needs, and we have to mentor each child, each youth, to become the actual human being that is required to have a proper healthy society. So I always keep telling, in that way, for every parent, when they say, oh, so-and-so's daughter or so-and-so's son has become a doctor, my son should become a doctor too. So, this is where the challenge again comes, because the child loses the focus. Maybe the child doesn't have the focus to become a doctor. But again, the discord happens between the parents and the children. So the parents are trying to live their dreams through the children. So instead of focusing on his interest, on his values, we focus more to push our dreams and push him towards something else which he doesn't want to. So again, this person, this youth will definitely lose the motivation to do something, because he's only living for his parents' dream, or he's trying to do what his parents are pushing him to do. So he is not, as a human being, as a child, is not getting enough the backbone that is required for him to pursue his dreams, for him to become what he is actually capable of becoming, or he has the potential to become. So first thing, the education has to be the value-based, all right? Secondly, yes, it has to be allowing the person to be as themselves, but in a very positive manner, looking after his physical health, the emotional health, and of course, the spiritual, that comes later, of course, but the overall mental health has to be taken care of. Including the health, I will also include two more factors. Of course, when it comes to grooming of children and youths, the hygiene has to be taken care of, because post-COVID, of course, that education has to be given to people and to youths. But primarily, I will also include, keeping today's generation in mind, the sex education, where we are actually lagging behind. If you see, today's youth are very disillusioned, because of the society, because of the movies, because of the so many exposure to social media and internet. If you see, most of the youths are so much distracted, and they don't get that proper channelization, proper knowledge, how to go about it, especially when they are at the threshold of becoming a teen or becoming a youth. So sex education, though we as a society, as a regressive society, I would say, we actually hesitate to talk about it, but this needs to be taken care of, especially when they're growing, because this actually leads them to lead them a more healthy life as an adult. So let's not ignore this part.
Developing Bangladesh, your knowledge partner. We take care of trade and investment, education and skills, economic diplomacy and economic development. If you would like to keep you updated on these issues, please subscribe to Developing Bangladesh. Thank you very much for watching till the last.